and welcome to episode 29 of the Tough Cover Podcast, right here on the Painted Lines. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of the Tough Cover Click. We did not have we went 3-3 last night. We didn't hit our best bet, but we're hoping to get back on the board today, and more so than picks today. I'm really going to deep dive into the Sixers and Phillies games for tonight, and really try to find that edge and try to give you guys an advantage gambling those games. So those are my main picks tonight. I have 5 picks total. 3 of them involve those Philly sports games. Please go follow at The Painted Lines on Twitter and subscribe to The Painted Lines on YouTube and Twitch, and follow me at Mark Henry Jr. _ right there in the description right there, and follow the pod at Tough Cover Pod on Twitter and Instagram. On today's show, like I said, we're breaking down the Philly sports matchups of the night. 2 hated rivals, the Celtics, the Mets. Those are 2 of my probably 5 least favorite teams in sports. So I really want to get some wins tonight for bragging rights purposes. I know some terrible fans of both fan bases. Shout out to Eddie Dietzler and Bobby Bondora, Celtics and a Mets fan that I know. So yeah, we're going to be breaking down the Sixers and Phillies, and I have a take on a couple of the Chicago MLB games. I know I have a couple followers from Chicago on Twitter. Eagles underdog Joyce and Quinn in the lineup for the Phillies is terrible. I did see that they tweeted out a lineup. I was preparing my thing right here for my notes. Let's pull up the lineup real quick. It's not on their Twitter. Joyce and Quinn. Yeah, I mean, Hazley played a ball so badly last night that it's not that big of a deal. Joyce is playing first, I imagine, for Reese. Joyce is batting first, Bohm second, Harper third, Real Muto fourth, Didi Gregorius fifth, Gene Segura sixth, Brad Miller seventh, Roman Quinn eighth, Anderson ninth. Miller's at first, and Joyce is in left field. You gotta get your guys some rest. We've played a lot of games in a row here. McCutcheon's not a young guy. Reese Hoskins is not someone that should play 162 games. So I don't mind it at all. JT got his best off the other day. Maybe I wouldn't want to see all 3 of them in the same game, but oh well. It's not like Brad Miller's any slouch with the bat, and they're trying to give Matt Joyce a chance to show why he belongs in the lineup. It's a night for Bohm, Harper, Real Muto, Gregorius, and Gene to really show why they're the key cogs of the lineup. Why not have Quinn lead off instead of Joyce at least? Because you just don't want Roman Quinn batting that many times in a game. I don't care that he's fast. You can't bat Roman Quinn lead off. Roman Quinn shouldn't be in the majors, let alone batting lead off on a team. He's not a major league hitter in my opinion. But anyway, let's get to my picks for tonight and where you can take those picks for tonight. You can take them right to BetRivers. And for a word on BetRivers from our sponsors over at XL Media, hang on tight.
Hey, what's up, guys? March Madness is here. The NBA and NHL are both in full swing. Baseball opening day is coming up, while we here at the Painted Lines are devoted to bringing you top-notch content from all the major sports. We are excited to also now give you the opportunity to cash in on all that content and knowledge. If you follow the link below, you will have the opportunity to sign up with BetRivers, an online sportsbook, and get an instant new user deposit match of up to $250. That's free money that you can use and try to turn into more free money. Let's go. Don't sit there and waste all that money. Turn every basket into an otherwise meaningless Cavs-Timberwolves matchup on a random Wednesday in March. That makes it all the more exciting. For betting tips and advice, be sure to check out written content from our top prognosticator, Money Max, on our website at thepaintedlines.com, or check out the Tough Cover Podcast right here on the Painted Lines YouTube channel. You've seen the commercials all over TV and radio, but now is the time. Sign up today with BetRivers using the link below and start cashing in on your love for sports. Using the link below will automatically inform BetRivers that TPL sent you, and you'll get that new user deposit match of up to $250. Don't miss out on this opportunity for some free money, baby.
Don't miss out on that opportunity. Go check that out, and it'll let them know at BetRivers that the Painted Lines sent you, and we will appreciate that very much. So on today's show, like I said, We'll be breaking down the Philly matchups for tonight. I know that there'll be some other pods on the Painted Lines that'll break it down from just an X's and O's, who's going to win standpoint. I'm trying to look at it from a little bit more of a gambling and a betting perspective, trying to win you guys some money while watching your favorite teams, the Phillies and the 76ers. So we're going to start it off talking about last night's action and talking about April as a whole. It has not been very kind to me. April, comparatively to March, I was just looking at my the gambling app that I use to enter all of my picks. I had the best week of the last 4 years because I've entered my picks on there for 4 years. I had the best week of the last 4 years, February 28th to March 6th, right at the start of this podcast. So that's really boosted my numbers and keeping my numbers up. In March, I went 65 and 57, up 18 and a half units. In April so far, 12 and 12, down 6.5 units. The best bet is now 17 and 12 so far on the year. I think it was 16 and 8 in March, so you can do the math, 1 and 4 in April. But we always knew that this would come. You're not going to be hitting at a 70% clip like we were in early March all the time. So we have to get back to where we were, get back to that hot streak, and I feel it coming. Baseball, basketball, I can focus a little bit more on both now. No college sports clouded my judgment, no bracket talk. So we're back on the NBA and the MLB, focusing on the NFL draft. We're going to do a big NFL draft extravaganza from a gambling perspective later on in the month. And there could be something about non-sports or maybe sports entertainment from a gambling perspective later on this week. So we will be looking at that. We're trying to turn it around. It is Tuesday, April 6th, and I've got 5 picks for you guys. So let's get it started. This is the Homer edition of the Tough Cover podcast right here on the Painted Lines. Big time Homer picks coming today to you guys, so watch out for that. So the first game we're going to talk about is the Philadelphia Phillies versus the New York Mets. I'm going Phillies money line plus 120 for 1 unit, even despite the people that are sitting in that game. Maybe we'll get some pinch hits late from Hoskins or McCutchen. But for the 4th time in franchise history, the Phillies are 4-0. The 2nd time in the last 3 years that we're 4-0, but it's only the 2nd time in the last 104 years that we're 4-0. So don't let it. I know that the natural reaction is it's so early. Don't overreact. Don't say we're for real. Don't say we're a playoff team. You should believe in this team. They're 4-0 for a reason. This is not like the same 4-0 from the other year. We haven't even hit yet, and I don't. It's not like I think this lineup's going away. This lineup is here to stay, and I think that the Phillies are here to stay as well. I bet on them the first 3 games against Atlanta. I didn't bet on them yesterday, and I couldn't regret it more. Andrew Knapp is our home run leader at 1, and we're 4-0. Like I said, people are probably ready to talk regression, think we're going to lose one here, but I don't think our bats have gotten going whatsoever. Just wait until we start hitting. I just hope the arms continue to show up like they have been. And if you've been listening to this podcast, you know I'm a Chase Anderson guy. I think he's our 4th best starter over Matt Moore in the rotation, and I think he gets us to 5-0. Chase Anderson was a legitimate starting pitcher in the MLB for Arizona and Milwaukee for years. It's not like it was a 1-year thing. Oh, the 1-year thing is the struggles he had in Toronto last year. So I'm hoping he can get back to his form for the prior 7 or so years. Let's pull up a comment here. Mark, let's go. I have Rangers money line against the Blue Jays today. I don't think I have a take on that game. Yeah, let's pull up the pitchers real quick. I know. I think are the Blue Jays throwing Mats today, or was that yesterday? Let's pull this up. The Blue Jays are throwing Tanner Roark, and the Rangers throwing Dunning. I like Dane Dunning. Yeah, if I were to take a side in that game, it would be the Rangers. But let's get back to the Phillies here. Thank you for commenting, Dylan. If you guys have comments, please leave them in there. Leave your picks in the comments. Any questions or any thoughts you have on my picks, leave them in the comments, and I'll pull them up like I just did. Like I said, I'm a Chase Anderson guy. Marcus Stroman is also on the other side, showing up on the bump, showing up for his first start in 2 years after taking last year off. And the Phillies are not a friendly matchup for this guy. The Phillies crush right-handed pitching over the last 2 years. I think this could be a high-scoring game, but I believe in Chase Anderson, which could be famous last words over Marcus Stroman in this matchup. I am picking the Phillies to start 5-0 for the first time since 1915. I think the Phillies win here. It's my least confident pick of the day, probably, so that's why I wanted to start it off with that. So let's get, obviously, you got the Phillies J-roll on my shirt right here, and you got the Sixers right here. So let's get the Sixers Celtics against my least favorite team in sports, the Boston Celtics. I think for a while it was the New York Giants. The New York Giants haven't quite been as hateable as of late. I know everyone hates the Cowboys a little bit more than I do. For me, I knew way more New York Giants and Boston Celtics and New York Mets fans growing up than the Dallas Cowboys. So those are the teams that I absolutely despise. So I'm going at 7:30, Sixers money line versus the Celtics minus 115 for 1 unit. I get it. This line screams rat. There's no way this is a fair and just line. There must be something at play. What does Vegas know? I think Vegas must know something, but I get it. We just got blown out, albeit without Joel Embiid, and the Celtics are coming off of 2 dominant wins against lottery teams. But this line is stupid and obviously a rat line or a trap line, but I'm walking right into the trap. Joel scored 42 and 38 in the first 2 games against Boston. They just don't have an answer for the big fella. Despite Embiid only playing 4 games since the beginning of March, the 76ers defense leads the NBA over that span with a 105.1 defensive rating. Conversely, the Celtics defense has struggled since then. They rank just 22nd in defensive rating in March. So that is a big reason why I like the Sixers to win this game. Joel Embiid, the Celtics have no answer for defensively, and I think the Sixers have an answer for just about everything the Celtics can throw at us defensively. So we are going to win this game, in my opinion. And speaking of defense in Sixers Celtics, that leads me to my best bet of the night at 7:30. My best bet is first half under 113.5 Sixers Celtics for 2 units. That is my best bet, my play of the day, my lock of the night. Sixers are 6-3 on the first half under in the last 9 and 8-4 over the last 12. The Celtics' last 3 first halves have went under. 5 of the last 6 have went under in the first half, and 9 of their last 12 have went under in the first half. The trends here are just too strong to ignore for me, and the full game over is at 221.5. So I think this first half under should be around 110, 110.5, and I'd still like it. I think I would like this all the way down to 109.5. So you're giving it to me at 113.5. Gimme. First half under 113.5 as my best bet. And if you're a Sixers fan looking to bet specifically against the Celtics, take a peek at first half under 56.5 Celtics team total. The Celtics have scored only 57 plus in 1 of the last 6 games. This is probably what the bet should be, but I placed the first half under this morning and found this trend later. So I went with first half under 113.5. If you want to go with first half Celtics team total under 56.5, that's not bad either. It's probably what I would prefer. Dylan Wilkerson says, I have Celtics money line, but I have Sixers to win the division, win-win. Yeah, like root for the Sixers then, Dylan. I'm not joking around about Sixers Celtics with you. The Celtics if the Celtics win tonight, I will be in a bad mood on tomorrow's show and tonight in general. At 7:40, Cubs money line versus the Brewers for 1 unit loyalty. Not a lot here. I don't have a lot of trust in Alzolay or anything against Freddie Peralta on the mound for the Brewers. The Cubs won yesterday. The Cubs won the day before. I've been on the last 2 days. They've been good to me. Got to go back to the well. The 3rd time's a charm. So I think the Cubs win again here in the friendly confines at Wrigley Field. Cubs money line versus the Brewers for 1 unit. And then the last play of the night, staying with the Chicago baseball theme, the White Sox money line at the Mariners for 1.5 units. Don't know where the hat is. I just had the hat right here. I don't know where it went. Could have done a Lee Corso thing there, but it was not to be. There are 2 obvious reasons to back the White Sox here, in my opinion. Lucas Giolito and their success against lefties. Lucas Giolito on the mound for the White Sox. Giolito was one of the most profitable pitchers in baseball last year on the money line and an AL Cy Young contender. Always, I know he didn't get off to his first start that well. They didn't win the game, but I think that's only more reason to believe in Giolito coming out a little better this time. I don't think he's having 2 bad starts in a row. So I think that the White Sox get it done here. And I even bigger than Giolito, the White Sox are by far the best MLB team against left-handed pitching. They are 19-0 in their last 19 games against lefties, trying to get to 20-0 today against the Mariners, and I think it's a fantastic matchup. I do not believe in the Mariners to break this unreal streak. I know that James Paxton's really streaky. He's back in Seattle now, but I think he's coming off a big layoff. I think he didn't pitch for a long time last year, so I think that the White Sox are a really, really solid bet here. Josh says I've got White Sox money line and run line too. Yeah, it seems like everyone's on the White Sox, which scares me a little bit without Tim Anderson in the lineup. But it's my second favorite bet of the night behind my first half under, so I clearly love the White Sox as well. Okay, so yeah, I'm actually looking at Giolito's first start. It looks like balls were hit hard in the air. It's not like he didn't have that bad of a start personally, but he got unlucky in a couple scenarios. But yeah, how could you bet against this streak against left-handed pitching that the Chicago White Sox have been on? I have Mariners here, if that makes anyone feel better. You might win, Dylan, but I have no idea how you could be betting on the Mariners. That's crazy. You might win, but that's just a wild bet to me. I know everyone's on the White Sox, so maybe fade the public, but I don't see why I would take the Mariners in that game. Joe Ciccoletti, San Diego, Darvish versus the Giants, Darvish versus Sanchez, Washington, Scherzer versus Braves, Smiley. Dude stinks. He does stink, Drew Smiley. They gave him a bunch of money too. Parlay tonight, plus 175. What does it take? That goes along with this message from Lee Holbert, Nationals tonight, with Scherzer on the mound. I don't love San Diego in that game, and this might be a dumb reason, but I feel like there has to be some sort of emotional letdown with the Tatis news. I just feel like that's a weird situation. I think San Diego could definitely have a letdown, especially with the bats. But Darvish is a way better pitcher than Sanchez, obviously. Darvish is a top 5 pitcher in the world, probably, so it makes perfect sense to take the San Diego. And yeah, Washington makes a ton of sense too. I'm staying away just because it's their first game. We saw how the Mets were last night on a little bit of a delay. Only put up 2 runs on the board, so I'm staying away from both those games. Lee Holbert, Nationals tonight with Scherzer on the mound, but yeah, I'm staying away from both those games. The leans that I did have tonight that I didn't end up taking, I leaned Marlins against the Cardinals, and I also leaned Marlins team total over. Let me get the number for you guys. I leaned Marlins team total over 3.5. That was something that I liked a lot with John Gant on the mound, but the Marlins offense just has not been reliable enough for me to go to that over 3.5 number. I think that there was another game on the Astros. The Astros at minus 111 versus or at the Angels was another bet that I leaned. I couldn't quite take it because I'm not the biggest Zach Greinke guy, but that was my initial read on the game, was that I thought that there was a favorable line for the Houston Astros, and I also think that Arizona Colorado over 10.5 could certainly be interesting. I stayed away because it's just a little too high for me. If it was 9.5, I'd be on it. But because it's 10.5, I ended up staying away. Let's look at the NBA. I'm kind of so checked out of the NBA. It feels like so many people are sitting out on a nightly basis, or at least are out until 5 o'clock, or we don't know what's going on until 5 o'clock, that I can't fully invest myself in a bet, it feels like, in the NBA. So that's why I've been a lot more invested in the MLB. With Chicago and Indiana, I don't know if Levine or Brogdon are playing, so it's hard for me to give a read on a -1 either way. Lakers, Raptors. Lakers are without so many guys. It's hard for me to know what they should be on a night-to-night basis. New Orleans, Atlanta. New Orleans is without so many guys. I have no idea what to bet there. Memphis, Miami. Miami's a 5.5-point favorite. I'm tempted to say Grizzlies plus 5.5 here, but they just had such a huge win against the Sixers, such a blowout win that I think they could come out a little flat. Miami's playing great basketball as of late, so I will stay away from Memphis plus 5.5, but that would probably be an NBA pick that I would look into. 12.5 points for Denver over Detroit is too many points. 6.5 points for Milwaukee over Golden State is too many points. But I'm not betting against Milwaukee or Denver with the basketball they're playing lately. And then Portland, LA. This is a game that I think I've reviewed before on this show. I think I talked myself into one of the sides. I can't remember what it was, but this is a weird matchup. Portland's got the guards that I don't think the Clippers can really handle, and I think that they have an advantage with the bigs. But the advantage for the Clippers at the wing is just so strong that it's hard for me to know what wins out on a nightly basis. I think in the playoffs, I actually do think that the Blazers could straight up win a series against the Clippers, but on a night-to-night basis in the regular season, I'm not sure what carries the day. But if it's a close game, you know that you want to have that Portland +6 because Dame Lillard's going to get it done, and you might want to even have that money line. So Portland and Memphis would be my NBA leans. Miami over 10.5 and Colorado, Arizona would be MLB leans, and also the Astros. But my picks before I get out of here, let me read these picks off. I've got the Phillies money line for 1 unit. I've got the Sixers money line for 1 unit. I've got first half under 113.5, Sixers Celtics for 2 units. I've got Cubs money line for 1 unit, and I've got White Sox money line for 1.5 units. Thank you for enjoying, hopefully, and listening to today's show. Thank you for being a part of the Tough Cover Click, and thank you for supporting us here on the Tough Cover Podcast. There will be an announcement coming soon, hopefully, about a certain other podcast that I may be starting. So I'll be hoping to report that to you guys soon. And Dylan says, best of luck, Mark. Best of luck to you guys as well. And thank you for joining us. And enjoy the winners.